Hey there, I'm a DIY track guy. This is my humble garage, and today we prep an engine. This is a 2.4 liter LE5 4-cylinder Ecotec motor built by GM. It came out of a 2009 Chevy Malibu and has 190 or so thousand kilometers, or these many miles. Now I know what your biggest question probably is, and yes, I am Asian. But I am at least passingly aware of most of the Miata engine swap options that are available to me in North America, and for a variety of reasons that we'll talk about later, I chose this one. The job for now though is to clean and prep this thing because it's utterly filthy and vomit inducing, and I can't conscionably install it like this. Broken stud. Now that we got this motor to a base level of cleanliness, we should probably check if it has a base level of health. So let's go ahead and do a compression test. I probably should have done this before, but as they say, better late than never. Besides these being tightened in with the strength of 1,000 men, cylinder 3 has a little bit of oil down the hole and fresh oil on the spark plug itself. I'm hoping that's just because it was sitting on its side during storage. It doesn't appear to be sparkly, so that's good. Wow, there must be at least 3 or 4 liters of oil in this thing. So that there's oil in there while we do the compression test, I'll just use some of my scrap oil lying around in my garage. All right, we've got oil halfway up the dipstick, so I think that's good enough. This is a new compression test tool. Hopefully I have more luck with this one than I had with the last one. Now let's hook up this jumper cable, positive side, to the positive power terminal of the starter. Hook up the negative to this bolt here. And using this 12-volt lead acid battery that I got from a jump starter pack, I'm gonna use this to provide power to the starter. Now let's hook up a test lead to the starter wire, and if I take the other side and apply 12-volt power to it, it'll excite the starter and turn the motor over. At least in theory. Have you done this before? No? Me neither. Take 2, that little battery wasn't good enough, so I had to pull the battery from my Miata, and let's give this another go. So after taking 3 readings for each cylinder, both dry and wet, here are the average results. So if we can trust that the compression tester is accurate, and that's a big if because some of the readings weren't as repeatable or consistent as I would have preferred, then what we're seeing is that cylinder 2 is a little bit low and all of them have worn piston rings. So the big question, is this motor trash and do we try to find another one, or do we accept that at 190,000 kilometers, this is about as good as it's gonna get? I think you know the answer. We're just gonna send it and I'll regret it later. Next, I'd like to change out the timing cover seal, which is behind this crank pulley or harmonic balancer. Old seal, new seal. and this is just going on there temporarily. Here we are at the exhaust manifold ports, and this is where the headers bolt up with these studs and nuts. But you'll notice that one of them is broken deep inside this hole, and I need to get this out. And this one I took out to make sure these aren't seized. To make my life a little bit easier and to gain access in this area, I'm going to take off this coolant housing and pipe. It's required for the swap, so we may as well do it now. Before we work on this broken stud, let's get rid of these other ones, and this is an E7 Torx head. These shouldn't be too tight, so they should come out okay, yeah, like there. So for these three buggers, they won't come out, and it feels like I'm gonna break off the head here. So let's apply a little bit of heat, a little bit of penetrating fluid, and see if this will come out. I don't have a MAP or propane torch, so this is the best I got. So the heat and penetrant didn't work. The next step is to try the double nut method. So this one's a disaster of my own making. I tried to extract it using vice grips and I ended up destroying the threads and bending the stud. I'm gonna try this to clean up the threads so that we can do the double nut method. So here we come to the main event, this broken off stud recessed in this hole. All right, we got something started here, so now let's break out the left-handed drill bit. Yes. And that was the little bugger stuck in there. Next up, let's pull a valve cover. So since we got the valve cover off, let's take a quick look around. We've got a double overhead cam design. Over here we have these two solenoids that manage the VVT system, or variable valve timing. Down here on the intake cam, you can see that we have our valves with their valve springs, their seats, and these rollers. You can't see it from your angle, but we got the same idea over here on the exhaust side, and there's 2 of them each per cylinder on the exhaust side, 2 on the intake side for 4 valves per cylinder. So what I'm looking for here is anything that is catastrophically and obviously damaged. Thankfully, I'm not seeing any of that. There's no giant shards of metal, and everything seems to be where it should be. So I'm just gonna go ahead and clean up the gasket surface here, because I do have a new gasket for the valve cover, so let's get to it. Even this lovely golden hour sunlight doesn't help this valve cover look any cleaner. It's filthy, it's gross, and covered in sludge. My guess is that the oil cap was leaking, so instead of buying a $20 replacement one, they used black RTV to try to seal it up, which would explain why there's oil everywhere on this motor. After a thorough degreasing and hosing down, which you saw, off camera, I wire wheeled, emptied a can of brake clean, and acetone this thing, and now it's ready for paint. We're gonna use that. Next up on this extremely riveting part of the build is to paint this thing. And to do that, I've chosen Por 15 engine enamel in aluminum. I've had good experience with Por 15 before, check that out here. And because this is an epoxy-based paint, I'm hoping that the finish will be more durable and longer lasting than your typical engine spray bomb barbecue paint job. I like painting so much, I chose the smallest brush I could find to make this process last as long as possible. thing about YouTube is that everything looks easy and drama-free, but it's actually been quite a few days that I've been working on this thing to get it to this point. But now that it's looking like something that I wouldn't be embarrassed putting into a car, let's address the elephant in the room. Why an Ecotec Miata swap? Although I considered a number of options, my reasons for choosing this swap likely aren't what you'd think, but let's talk about that last. The first and arguably most popular way to add power to a Miata has gotta be turbo. And I love that. A couple of track buddies have turbo Miatas and they're awesome, but my 1990 1.6 short nose crank motor isn't exactly the most desirable mill to start with, so I could pop in a 1.8 VVT, but if I'm gonna pull the motor, why not consider a motor swap then? And the ones most commonly tossed around in conversation are the GM LS V8 swap and the Honda K motor swap. Both are awesome and have great potential, and I may or may not have experience with one of them. If you're a subscriber to the channel, you already know that my goal is to build a dual-duty weekend ice cream getter and occasional track day car. Which leads me to the real reason why I chose the Ecotec swap: familiarity. Back in 2015, the creator of the kit and I started an endurance race team, and we competed in many Champ Car Endurance Series events. And these races would last a grueling 14 to 16 hours and take place at premier venues in Canada and the USA. And even up till now, I still race with a great group of guys that run Ecotec Miatas in the same series, and they do quite well too. Cost is another big factor, and once the swap is done, as is standard practice with these kinds of builds, I'll run through everything and show you exactly what I spent. I think that's enough about the why, so next let's talk about what. As in, what is this thing? As I mentioned, this is a 2.4 liter, 4-cylinder LE5 motor that came out of a 2009 Chevy Malibu. This one produced about 170 horsepower to the crank and 160 pound-foot. But what I find appealing is that it's all alloy, weighs about the same as the stock motor, has variable valve timing on intake and exhaust cams, and with the right supporting mods and a tune, it can make 200 naturally aspirated horsepower and 200 torques. I also like that the complexity is low, heat can be managed by my existing cooling system, and the packaging is very similar to the stock motor. So I hope you stick around for this series of however many videos it takes me to get this swap done. As always, I appreciate your support and your positive feedback. You're awesome, I'm useless, thanks for watching.